Are we live now? Are we live now? Can I do this shit now?
Damn, her son looks just like her.
Who's that?
That girl Rico Nasty I told you about? Look. That's her son right there in the camera. She'll show up on the bottom left. But, like, they're literally twins.
Mm-hmm. Got my son with $10,000 in his hand.
But that's how you... Not that they won't grow up to be humble, but why are you having your kid with a whole bunch of money like that in the camera for? You know? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Oh shit. I think I want these.
What?
I want all these shits.
All these niggas right there. I see you scrolling. It'd be like that, yo.
Y'all haven't brought shoes in a while, but I want those.
Ew.
I want them.
Ew.
You crazy.
Nah.
That shit like a sneaker with a boot bottom.
I like that, but that white strap fucking with me.
Yeah.
If they had the white strap,
Those
are hot. Those look cute, like nice workout shoes.
And those the first three I saw, like I want all those.
I want those. That should look fire.
No.
That should look fire. I would wear those. I'm not a fan of the teal too much. I would wear those.
No.
I wouldn't wear those. I would wear
I
those.
rock those.
Those
are
are hot, yeah. Those are nice. I don't like getting too crazy. I like colorful sneakers. Cause like I do like bright colors and wearing my graphic t-shirts, you know? But sometimes they're just like, you know what, let's just throw all these paints together and just splat it anywhere on the shoe. Like, you gotta make sure they complement each other. Why does the thing make that noise like that?
With the laptop. I might have to go shoe shopping after this COVID shit. I haven't brought shoes.
I want to treat myself to a nice pair of sneakers that I could wear like on a daily though.
I haven't brought shoes in fucking 2 years.
But that's how you know you take care of your shoes. You don't need to buy shoes all the time.
No.
Shit, if you have your everyday sneakers, then I don't see why you need to have like 50 pair of sneakers. Like I be seeing people that have like they say like I haven't even worn them and I've had them forever. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's pointless. Let me see that bone.
In a minute.
Ew. Why you say it like that?
Ooh.
In a minute. My ass.
Yo, the last dog I had, that motherfucker used to love taking baths, yo.
I just shared that.
That was you?
How about you look at who shared it? I shared that this morning.
Oh. Yo, my dog Diamond, all I gotta do is, because every time she hears water running in the bathroom, she want to come look anyway. And then if I tell her, like, Diamond, get in the tub, yo, she be like, oh shit, it's my bath?
Mm-hmm.
That bitch a hot right in the fucking
there
tub.
There are dogs that like that shit.
Like, yeah. She's like, I was hoping you would say get in the tub, nigga. And then didn't want to get out the fucking tub. Like, clean her off real good. I mean, I'll be in there scrubbing her down for fucking 20 minutes. Like, all right, you clean, Diamond, let's get out. She'll just sit there and look at you.
You dead ass not gonna pass it to me? You dead ass not gonna pass it to me?
I'm gonna pack it first, babe.
Your shit is packed.
It's not.
Oh.
Yo, she tougher than her dude is. Her dude got knocked out in a boxing fight. This bitch got
I think I seen that
she got
video.
the baby in her hand. She's like, yo, hold my fucking baby, yo. Hold the baby. I'm about to beat this nigga ass, yo.
Oh, she like, fuck the rope.
Yo, she is not
That's
playing.
a real one, yo.
She's
You
a
want a girl
rat.
to do that
Like,
shit
yo,
for
you
you.
knock my dude out?
Hold my baby, yo.
Hold the
Give
baby.
the baby to the stranger. Hold the baby.
Hold the baby.
Hold the fuck up.
And then you know when they get home, she gonna cuss his ass out. Like, nigga, how the fuck you get knocked out like
And
that?
then he gonna cuss her ass up. Why you defending me like I'm a little bitch?
Yeah, I ain't asked you to jump in there with me. I had it. I had everything covered. Nigga, you was asleep.
You was asleep.
You was sleeping. You didn't even know what was going on.
That shit was in a whole nother dimension, bro. You was loud.
I know a Libra when I see one. Damn.
That's fucked up.
Yo, them Libras, yo. And them,
Nah, they tried to come out Pisces, and I was like, nah, because all the time they stay forgetting to write Pisces in those little posts all the time. Like, y'all forget y'all don't see that there's 11 zodiacs here? Like, there's not 12 months in the fucking year?
January, though, like.
Hello?
Like.
So, literally. But, nah, they always talking shit about Libras and Geminis. No offense.
I swear, yo.
Geminis are too fake as fuck, though. No, like, it's true. Y'all shady as fuck.
Yeah, well, fuck you too.
But that's just because you're zodiac. Everybody's zodiac is true in some way. I'm Pisces. I'm stubborn as fuck. Rule with the head. That's what Pisces do.
She talking about it's packed already.
I forgot we hit it before we fell asleep.
Let me tell you, like my sister told me.
What was she saying?
You need to start thinking and stop thought.
Shut up.
That's the same thing I said to her.
You always say I think. Everybody's gonna say that. It's not always gonna be a situation where you think and thought. Like, it's not that simple.
I thought, nigga, stop thought. That's your problem. You always thought instead of thinking. Past tense, nigga, past tense. I can't believe you got the hookup last night, yo.
Yo, facts.
Made me want to watch Master P movie now. I got the hookup. I'll if you hear me. I got the hookup. Yo, Master P don't get no respect, yo. This nigga came up off of $10,000, yo. Somebody gave him, his grandma gave him $10,000. He turned that shit into $300 million in just a few years. Had #1 albums, movies, shoes, played professional NBA basketball. Motherfucker had a clothing line. I'm like,
some people are not smart when they money, so they can
yo,
come up one time.
Yo, Percy Miller was the shit, yo.
Over and over.
And he put his whole family on, put his brothers, his cousins, his uncle, put everybody on,
that shit
yo.
made me sweat already.
Damn.
I just wanted to warm it up a bit because I thought it would be colder.
And then they say in his first mansion he bought, he had a fucking glass, not a glass, a gold ceiling in this house, yo. He took like his whole living room and had that shit inlaid with gold. The entire ceiling was fucking gold. I'm like, damn, Master P.
Taj Mahal type shit.
Yeah, how the fuck you got a gold ceiling in your house, bro? But P was
I got that much money, yo. The gold can just sit there and look nice. That shit don't gotta invest in nothing. I know that shit killing me too now. Ever since you said something about it, now every time I hit it, I notice it. It's crazy how that can make a difference, though.
I poured half the shit in the fucking water just now, though, without even burning the shit. I just watched it suck right through like, damn, nigga.
So it wasn't, like, it didn't hit well?
It
what do you
did,
mean by
but
that? Like, it just went out fast?
I pulled it too hard and the green went in the water.
Oh.
That's why I try to keep ashes in the bottom of it.
Yeah. I just hate when the water gets dirty.
Yeah.
But, like, you can literally just pour the water out and just fill it up with new water.
Actually, I'm gonna start cleaning this shit, like, a couple times a week.
As long as, if you change your bong water at least once a week, it's good. Because if it's just you most of the time hitting your own bong, like, how fucked up can it really get?
On camera too.
Was that a fart? No?
I think.
Check you out. What's that?
Like 1/2 a bong pack.
Oh, like dry weed?
Yeah. I need to put something
That would have been
else
us if we didn't get last night, yo.
Huh?
That would have been us if we didn't get last night. Would have been like.
I try to keep like one reserve hit somewhere just for that real stressful time, just in case there isn't anything.
Yeah, like a one good hit. Cause you know that one hit will hit you.
And you'll relax real good for a second and things will be okay for a little while. I just need to put another little bud in here or something. Keep that shit tucked up in there. And then I really do forget about it for like ever. And then I'll be remembering like.
You gotta have weed for yourself.
And I'll be like, oh, I do got that one bong hit up in the studio.
I be doing that. I try to put like a little nut, like a nick
To
the side, cause if I don't hide it for myself, it's gonna go.
I think I might go grab my bud.
Your bud? Okay, go get it. And then remember the other bong that's downstairs on the giant? That shit won't fit in here. That piece. I know it's longer. It might stick out of this bong a lot more.
Yeah.
But just bring it. It's already out of the bong. It's on the mat. I didn't hit it all the way. Baby bubble pop, baby bubble pop.
Still weird how that shit broke inside there like that.
Yeah, I still don't. The most I can think, you see how we click the side of the thing for what so the weed can settle? That's as most as I can think, but like, cause it does move around in there, you know. But like, that water is not hot. I feel like for a glass to shatter, I mean, it doesn't have to be hot to shatter, but like, I feel like the force you would give that, it shouldn't have cracked the way it did.
Now that shit look extendo.
So it does fit.
Look.
That shit is the extendo.
That shit extendo.
I'm done. That shit gonna hit.
It's kind of tight though, cause it's glass on glass like that.
Better?
tell the difference. Oh shit.
Don't do it with me. Gotta hit it with the tweezers, man. Don't pull with me.
Fuck.
You gotta not pat it into the carpet. You have to use a flashlight.
You got it.
So you got glasses on? You don't got that 420 vision?
Whoa.
Whoa. It's like your eyes be on instinct no matter where. It's just like it zooms in on the weed. You find it every time. It could be a whole black room. You could be at a basement party. 420 vision will have you.
That the piehead shit.
I should make a song called 420 vision. TM, y'all better not take my shit.
Yo, what's up, guys?
TM. Oh, you just gotta go slow. The extendo. Damn, that shit is way high up though.
I identify as a doctor. It's a drawing of Bill Gates saying
Damn, that shit get bad bubbles.
I identify as a doctor. Bill Gates, you're not a doctor, bro. Nobody wants your vaccines, man. Stop funding the vaccine programs. We don't want your vaccinations, bro.
Here. That shit get mad bubbles though.
Mm-hmm.
That shit got my mouth.
I can pull it out a little bit.
It's the weed, man.
I hate these motherfuckers. Where they find these bitches at?
What are you saying? What's wrong with her?
No, they just like, why they look so good though?
But some people just look good and some people are in the middle and some people don't. There's 3 stages. The ones that look like, you know, sexy people.
Almost.
People that get by. And then people that don't get by at all.
Look at that nigga top lip though, man. Why? Why is that shit so nice? And then they just like, I'm just in a Walmart ad.
Dead ass. Like, I get paid to look good.
I just get paid to look good. That's why I told Jarrell, yo, like, that
He
motherfucker
should
kinda,
really just get paid to be a model. He looks so good.
yeah, he's flaky as shit, he's weird, but nigga, just shut up and look at the camera, dude. That's all you got to do, bro.
And when he gets older and he like were to not work out, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but he fills in and builds into his body, yo.
He would be a perfect model.
Yo, Jarrell
and he's
handsome.
tall.
Yeah, he's handsome as shit, yo. Dude.
And that's easy money. You don't need no school. All you look at the camera. You want to go to school? Go to modeling school. Like, I don't know if, like, this kid I went to school with, I don't know if he went, I don't think he went to school for modeling or anything. But he just was born with some good-ass genes, and now he's modeling for Versace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? A kid I went to middle school with, he told me that he just walked on the runway for Versace.
Damn.
And I was like, get the fuck out of here, Jalen? He said, yeah. I said, I knew that boy was either going to play basketball or model.
I went to school with 2 twins. We thought they was gonna be fucking models.
Guys or girls?
2 guys. They had this They were talking about working with Gap back in the day. So they had a contract on the table, but it never really went through. Oh no, they're all fat and bald now. But when he was a teenager, and he got a twin brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, they was the best looking guys at school, yo. Just had that fucking smile, yo.
And what's their nationality?
They're mixed. Their dad is black and their mom is white. Both of them are.
They looked Arabian to me, or Spanish.
That's how my cousins are, because their mom is black and their dad is white, and they look like Middle Eastern and shit like that, like Arab, like.
Or Spanish. He looked.
Yeah.
I could say he looked Spanish too.
But nah, he's just mixed, black and white. They got a sister too. I could have been like a B model. Like
What you mean a B model?
Like for Kmart or Target. I'm not gonna get the Walmart ads. Definitely not gonna get the Versace runway shit. You know, I might.
That shit blew my mind. I said Versace.
You know, like when local restaurants do advertisements, I'll be in that shit.
Looking to apply? Start here.
Yeah, exactly. That's me.
Start your career here with us.
Or like my homeboy, shop at the mall.
Oh, Instagram.
Yeah. Like if he did advertisements and had like pictures of models with.
You could probably be that. That's not bad though. That's still good. Cause for what it is, you would look hot. You know what I'm saying? But like, fuck this.
But he used people he know. Like he on his Instagram page, he be using his kids and some local chicks to model his stuff for him. Like and he pay him, but it's cool. Like you just find local models.
Yeah. This kid I went to school out here, he started like a little hoodie line and little clothing line, and that's what he does. He uses most of his girlfriend to model shit for him. Which, like, if you knew this kid when I first went to school, like, this nigga be getting hoodies.
Yo. And he got some hot shit on the shelf now. I like that.
Yeah, I do like that hoodie too.
Yo, my man got the clothing shop. Matter of fact, I need to hit him up. Because I don't know if the mall is like open like that.
That painting too.
What painting?
That you got there, don't you want to switch it? Didn't you want to switch it?
Oh yeah, I got like 2 paintings, man. 2 or 3 paintings. Them shit's been in there for like a year. I do need to change them shits out. I keep telling them I'm gonna do that shit too though, but I never do it. I don't really know what to put in there, yo, cause
you want it to go with the store vibe.
Exactly. And then a lot of my pieces are big as hell, yo. Like I don't know which small pieces I can put in there now, cause I done had a couple of different pieces in there. All of my smaller stuff, but. Alright, 25 minutes. I had a few viewers, nobody actually stuck around. Yeah, I'm just paint for like 30, 40 minutes, guys. Work on these hands for a little while just because I'm up and feel like being productive. You know what I'm saying? No matter what the hour is, it doesn't really matter. Probably paint, go back to sleep, get up, exercise, paint. Definitely need to cut the grass today. What?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Take a look at the social media, what's going on with, you know, Twitter, Facebook. The CEO of YouTube, we'll start there, said on CNN, basically anyone who says anything out of line with the World Health Organization it's bannable. It's against our community guidelines. The World Health Organization has flip-flopped back and forth, you know, like several times already.
Well, they're clearly spouting out Chinese propaganda too, particularly in January when they were saying that according to China, there's no evidence that you can be transmitted from person to person.
And did you know the AP reported at that time China knew and withheld the information for 6 days? So the day that the World Health Organization tweeted out, no evidence according to China of human-to-human transmission, we now know, according to the AP, China did know and purposefully withheld it. What you've got going on with China right now, I question whether or not we're getting close to an act of war. And I know that might be a little exaggerated, but they've got, you know, this is a story that was published in BuzzFeed News. Trolls working either for China or within China, trying to slow down the response in other regions like Spain, Italy, Taiwan. I think that the BuzzFeed one was specifically about Taiwan, sowing disinformation so it would slow their response, things like that.
Why?
Well, I think China wants Taiwan.
Right. Well,
they don't like their rogue province, so they consider it.
Yeah, well, that's why they had instructed the World Health Organization to not even mention the name Taiwan.
You saw that video?
That video's crazy. Where the head of the World Health Organization is being interviewed, and in the interview, the woman asks him about Taiwan's response, and he says, "I think China's done a great job."
Right.
And then,
well, at first he ignores
it,
and then he hangs up on her.
Yeah, he hung up on her.
Wow.
But he did say China, and she said Taiwan in specific, and I think that's when he hung up on her. And then he came back and said, well, let's get back to the question. Well, I think we've already covered it. China's done a great job. Like, he's clearly avoiding, but why does he think he can do that? Like, what does China have on them? Money? Is it funding? Is it just China funding them?
You know what happened with the NBA and like Blizzard?
Yeah.
People don't want to give that cold hard cash. They're making a bold bet. You know what I mean? Do you know what Thucydides' trap is?
No.
So this is, I was reading about this. The Atlantic wrote about this in 2015. Are we headed for a war with China? And Thucydides' trap says that whenever a growing power seeks to upset the dominant power, it results in war. And out of 12 out of 16 times over the past 500 years, it has happened. So people have been predicting a U.S.-China war for a really long time because of this historical precedent. It's not absolute, but it looks like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a historical expert or anything like that, but it looks extremely probable to me. I've had a lot of people get mad at me saying that I was fear-mongering by bringing this up, but the U.S. just sent 2 warships into the South China Sea, which China considers their own territory. When you look at what China's been doing in terms of misinformation, clearly lying about the numbers, that, you know, I can't remember who did this. I think it may have been Germany, removing China's numbers from the chart, saying they're not real. So China's been misleading the rest of the world, withholding information on how bad the infection is. They sent a strike group, an aircraft carrier, through the South China Sea near Taiwan, putting Japan on alert. The U.S.'s aircraft carrier, Theodore Roosevelt, was disabled because of the coronavirus. They evacuated 80% of the personnel. The U.S. does what they call an elephant walk in Guam, where they have all these bombers. Then the U.S. pulls them out, because apparently China's got some kind of weapon that can just blanket Guam and wipe out our forces. Next thing I know, we sent...
what kind of weapon do they have that can do that?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm getting my information from just reading peripheral stories. I'm not a military guy or anything like that. But it really does, so the U.S. just sent 2 warships into the South China Sea. And I think they're doing this because one of the things I read from a military website was that the strike force is testing U.S. resolve. The last time that China has done this, where they sent a strike force around Taiwan, actually tried to, take it in some fashion, the U.S. sent a couple super carriers and everything calmed down. Now our super carriers in the region were disabled by COVID.
Well, didn't they go into a group exercise with Iran after we killed that guy?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a group exercise with China and Iran in the sea. They did something like some sort of show of unity right after Trump had that guy assassinated.
Do you see what happened with those Iranian gunboats? They were swarming the U.S. naval vessels, and then Trump ordered them to do it again, sink them, blow them up. Do you know that Venezuela tried commandeering a civilian yacht a couple weeks ago?
What?
Venezuelan naval ship crashed into a German-owned private cruise liner. They were trying to as my understanding of the story, because I know a lot of people they're not going to want to provide that analysis. They were trying to steal it. So they claim...
Steal it?
Yeah, I think the official word from Venezuela was they thought this was a fake cruise ship with assassins from Maduro or something. So they ordered it to come into their waters because they weren't. A Venezuelan naval ship started ramming it, sank itself.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. And so then, sometime after, Donald Trump
I didn't
deploys
hear
2
about
U.S.
that.
naval vessels near
A
Venezuelan waters, which he
Venezuelan
says are for
naval
drug-related
ship sank
operations.
itself because it tried to ram
I'm not
another
gonna,
ship.
Like, I know a lot of people are going to get heated saying, you know what you're talking about. Yeah. All I know is that's what was reported. Who knows what that means or what it leads to, but needless to say, with it, look, Russia is withholding wheat exports. Several European countries have closed their borders within the Schengen area. People are starting to hoard food. And we just had a full-page ad in the New York Times Sunday edition, I think it was from Tyson, saying the food supply chain is breaking, and we're getting ready for a major shortage of food.
Yeah, they had to kill 2 million chickens.
Wow.
Because they didn't have anybody to butcher them.
Here's my concern. When you have these nation states shoring up their borders, even within the European Union, that was crazy to me when you see Germany and France and Austria closing their borders to each other. Then you get these warships making these movements. You get people desperate for food. You see Venezuela ramming into a cruise ship. I say this, it could be that we're hyper-focused on it because we're bored. We don't normally pay attention to this stuff. We normally pay attention to celebrity gossip and politics. Now that we're not doing anything, we're really focused on what's happening in international territory. Or perhaps it's that we're getting desperate and we're scared as the economy tanks.
Well, if it wasn't for mutually assured destruction, I would say, yeah, we're probably moving into a place of war. But when you have 2 nuclear superpowers like China and the U.S., it's like, what do they do? What are you going to do? One guy going to launch a missile, the other guy's going to launch a missile. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to go into a full-scale war and wipe out everyone on the planet? Because that's what would happen.
I think so. I do.
The thing is, who would be more willing to wipe out a giant chunk of the population? Would it be China or would it be the United States?
I don't think it'd be the United States. I think it'd be China. And I think it really depends on how strained they are for resources and whether or not they're really going to lose. The difficult... Look, in China, when this broke out, we saw videos of them barricading people in their homes, welding their doors shut.
Yeah.
The doctor, whistleblower. There's one story Vice ran. A journalist was calling out all of these things, disappears for a month, comes back a month later all happy, like, government's great, we love them.
Really?
Yeah. We know what they do. We've seen videos. Now, this could be propaganda, because I'm in America, so of course I'm getting this information. Maybe the U.S. is trying to, build this up. But I think you take a look at that kind of behavior, the willingness to do anything by any means necessary. And at what point do you get one person who's in charge saying, I will not be the captain of a ship that sinks? I look to, well, I don't want to get super political in American history, but I view it as you've got a leader of a country, and as people are looking at him, he says, this will be the year my country ceases to exist. F that. Presses the button. I will not be the person who has that stain. It's hard to know, though, because it could be a leader saying, I will not be the person who destroys the world. I would rather go down in history as the, failure of my country. I think you back somebody into a corner and you get fight or flight.
My stomach is literally growling. I'm gonna go eat some cereal.
My bad, guys. I was trying to find this story where he was talking about this Venezuelan naval ship rammed some cruise ship, and then the naval ship itself sank. Yo, I never heard.
Trump did something, or is he just an idiot?
I didn't hear about that shit in the news.
One side of it, your view of the world is just totally.
Reddit used to be like the Wild West, right? It was pretty wild until like 2016. There's very little moderating.
Reddit is so incredibly easy to manipulate and control. Ridiculously easy.
I don't think I've ever been on Reddit.
I remember, what year it was, maybe 2015. Political operatives were seeking ways to prop up politicians, manipulating Reddit's algorithms because users have direct control of it. I just tell you, it's ridiculously easy to do, like insanely easy.
Yo,
They've
good
since
morning,
made it more
guys.
difficult, but one person with 10 cell phones, and you could own the front page of Reddit very, very easily.
That's crazy.
Since then, we've seen.
We're listening to some Joe Rogan.
And I think it's fair to say, in my experience, I know
Trying to paint some
that
hands.
This tends to exist. It's sock puppetry. When someone runs multiple accounts pretending to be different people to create the perception of consensus.
Yes.
And that's what they do. That's that the Donald got in trouble for, I think, was they would do what's called a sticky post. So that means if you went there, one post was always on top of their page, so the supporters knew to upvote it, guaranteeing it would get a lot of traction.
Oh.
But we actually saw, this is the craziest thing, the CEO of Reddit manipulated in the database someone's comment who was a Trump supporter. This is like, could you imagine? The CEO did this.
They edited it?
He went into the database, the hard database for someone's comment, and changed what they said.
What?
Yeah, he apologized for it, saying, I got angry. Someone called him a pedo. So he was like, oh yeah, and he went in.
Oh, that's right. I remember this. He actually edited the words to make that person look like a piece of shit.
Like anti-Trump or something.
Yes.
So I'll tell you what, man. Look, there's a lot of arguments you can make about policy and the right way to solve these problems. But I go on the front, I open Reddit and I'm browsing through it and I see these comments from people that clearly do not understand what's going on with these protests, that people want the economy to reopen. And I try and talk to my friends about it, and it seems like they're trapped because I think, it's like you were mentioning how people drift towards what gets them the most love. Mm-hmm. But now, it's not just famous people, it's not just people on social media, it's everybody who does that. And they don't want that worldview broken.
Well, they also don't want to lose the respect of their friends who are also subscribing to that same ideology.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, man.
Team politics.
Well, over here in California, if you're not left wing, if you don't, just instantaneously, when there's an issue, instantaneously side with the left, you get chastised. And you get called a racist, or you get called a Nazi, or you get called a Trump supporter, or you can't even have.
Thank you to all the frontline.
Okay, yeah, appreciate that. Let's skip that commercial.
You can't say something like, in hindsight, it was a good idea that Donald Trump closed off travel from China because it was coming from there, and a lot of people were calling him racist. It turned out to be a good move, and then they've shut it down from a lot of different places as well. You can't say that.
So yeah, right. So the first thing Trump does is the 2 days later, the travel ban. Joe Biden says the last thing we need is Trump's xenophobia. Then on March, I think 12th, Trump suspends travel from Europe. Joe Biden says a travel ban won't stop this. April 3rd, Biden says actually Trump was right about that. Now Joe Biden's launching ads saying Trump didn't go far enough. Now Nancy Pelosi is saying Trump should have banned Americans from coming back in.
Did you ever see that video where Nancy Pelosi is talking about telling people to go to Chinatown in
yeah,
February?
Of course.
That video is fucking insane. And when they confront her on it, on Fox News, I think it was Chris Wallace on Fox News was talking to her about it, she's saying, well, the record will show that I was saying don't be rude to Chinese people.
Now, you were down there encouraging it.
Yes.
And
the record will show. She's such an ineffective speaker. It's so bizarre that she got to a position of power because she's so disingenuous and so fake in the way she communicates, especially on those shows.
Maybe she's just old. Maybe she was better before. I don't know.
Maybe, right? That's the Biden question.
Oh, man. Yeah, the Biden question. That dude's he's not even here anymore.
It's so weird. It's so weird that they're pretending that it's okay, that this is going to be fine.
But the way they're defending him over these allegations is the creepiest thing ever.
Or ignoring the allegations entirely.
You see Alyssa Milano? When she came, what is this?
Yeah, she said he deserves due process. Well, what about all the other times? What about all the other people?
This is it. It's I can't predict what's going to happen. There's a lot of things that are changing, right now that's going to affect whether or not Trump wins, the Republicans win or lose.
But what about this weird thing that he wants to do where he wants to insist on a woman of color as a vice presidential Biden wants to?
I think he said, I'm not sure if he said woman of color. I think he said he's guaranteeing it's going to be a woman, and he's looking at a woman of color. I'm not entirely sure. To me, that's absurd. I mean, if you've got a good candidate, I think, I don't care what they look like, what their skin color is, their race, gender. I know a lot of people on the left view that as like short-sighted because, and I think there's decent reasons to talk about how identity plays, into how you view the world and the policies you want to implement. I just think it's dangerous to create that kind of...
we're not talking about prom queen. We're talking about someone who actually has a real important job. You shouldn't pick them based on what part of the world their ancestors are from or what gender they are. That's ridiculous.
I would actually say on a scale of 1 to 100, that's not near like the top 50. But I think it is fair to say that there's a real reason why that would play a role. Like you've got a lot of people who have never experienced certain things, and that includes the left. And one of the big problems we have in politics is what we see coming from the left is really based on urban living, and from conservatives on more likely to be rural living. So when you see people on the left argue for like rent strikes and things like that, well, yeah, you're in cities where you're predominantly renters, so that's your big issue. It doesn't resonate the same with people who live in areas where they primarily own their homes. Or if you're talking about the Second Amendment, like obviously people in cities, they tend to be liberal, they want gun control, yeah, because you've got a very, very dense population, gun accidents probably are an issue, and you've got cops within a minute's notice. You live in a rural area, the cops are 40 minutes away, you need to protect yourself. So this divide creates a difficulty in creating policy for the entirety of the country.
That's a good point.
I personally would never place someone's like racial identity or gender in the top priorities, but I do think it is fair to point out that, you know, a black woman is going to understand things about life in the black community that a white man's not going to. That doesn't mean you give him a job because of it. But you can point out the perspectives will be different.
I agree with both those things.
Right,
yeah.
right.
That's a good point too, in terms of the overall country is so enormous and it's so different and varied. Like to find some common ground amongst everyone is so incredibly difficult.
So it's a contest of who's got the bigger bucket.
Yeah.
The bigger electoral bucket.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a good way of putting it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, but either way, there's so many people that are just going to vote left to get Trump out of office. They don't care. You're going to elect a guy with dementia.
You got to pull up this article. Stay
one?
Alive, Joe Biden, by The Atlantic.
No.
I'm not kidding.
When did they put this in?
Oh man, it was a couple weeks ago maybe. It's called "Stay Alive, Joe Biden." And then she said something like, "All we need is your corporeal form," and it's amazing.
God,
No, you're gonna
that's
love it.
so
You're right.
crazy.
It's not only arguing that we just need Joe Biden's body, but it actually kind of argues he's a bad candidate. And it's like it doesn't matter though. It doesn't because we just don't like Trump.
Well, they're right about that. He's a bad candidate.
Biden.
Yeah, they could have done so much better with Buttigieg, with Klobuchar,
Seriously.
They're terrified of Tulsi
So-
Gabbard. They're terrified of Bernie Sanders, and Andrew Yang, I think, probably freaks him out a little bit too.
I was I'm a big fan of Tulsi, and followed by Yang, and a lot of people didn't like that because I rag on Democrats all the time. It's like more. I'll fully admit it. You can criticize me all day and night. I very much see Pelosi and Schiff, Nadler, and the problems we have with them. And I'm not a fan of their policies. I think they either do nothing. But within that, I saw Andrew Yang and his website. The list of things he's gone through, what he's thought about was insane. I mean, the dude had a policy for everything.
Well, he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah, I was absolutely drawn to Andrew Yang. He just seems really smart.
In terms of problems to fix.
You could argue there's a similar thing there with Trump being a businessman, but Yang's list, he's a comprehensive list of policy positions was to me I was like, I like it, I do. Tulsi,
He's not that guy. The thing about Trump is a giant personality,
right?
whereas Yang is a really reasonable person.
Yeah. For me, Tulsi's anti-war stance was paramount. I think the U.S. has wasted too much money. We've got people arguing for, fix the pipes in Flint, and I'm like, right on. Let's stop building weapons and doing deployments and trying to control these foreign countries and start working within America. And I think that there's a reason why a lot of moderates and conservatives like Tulsi, and it's that it's kind of America first, right?
Yeah.
Why are we applying so much of our resources and time and energy to these foreign countries? We shouldn't be doing that.
Well, also she's earned that perspective with 2 tours of duty overseas. She served in the armed forces. She's been a congresswoman for 6 years. She understands a lot about how this works.
I disagree with her on some of her domestic policy issues, nuclear energy, and
what is her stance on nuclear energy?
she opposes it. Well,
She opposes
I don't want to speak for her because I'm trying to be very careful, but negative view on nuclear energy.
And nuclear energy is different than 3 Mile Island,
Right.
or Fukushima. We need to understand that when you're looking at some of these issues that they have with Fukushima in particular, which is a kind of an antiquated system that they had set up that they can't really shut off, which I had a whole bit about how crazy that is.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the nuclear power that they could implement today, it would be a very different system.
Right.
That
right.
would be
and
fairly clean.
extremely high return on energy investment
Yes.
and 0 emissions.
Yes.
But there's a fear because of the past.
Just put it somewhere that sucks. Just put it somewhere that sucks. Put a big one somewhere that sucks and juice up the whole country with it.
When it came to Yang, I felt like here we had a guy who I'm not a big fan of UBI, but
It's a weird one, right?
I think the way
No, he just said, I'm not a fan of UBI. I keep bringing this up over and over and over again. And that was the main thing that Andrew Yang caught me on. Because I've heard of UBI before Andrew Yang. But then to have a Democratic uh, nominee running on the platform of the UBI concept, I was like, whoa, this dude is telling the whole country about this shit, yo. And it's like, um, I don't know. I was really surprised that he was talking about this issue. He talked about two major things that I was looking into prior, right before the elections were starting, and it's like, well, actually, the 5G thing started it off like almost 2 years ago for me, and then with 5G, they're talking about the Internet of Things, and even if you listen to Science and Futurism with Isaac Arthur, he was talking about this years ago and where our current technology will be in just the next, 50 years. And we're in the age that they're calling the fourth industrial revolution because we've had three revolutions previously, and so now we're out of the factories and the plants, and now we're moving into AI, AI and robotics, and so just over the years, just being interested in shit like this and listening to guys like Isaac Arthur, Elon Musk, keeping up with what Boston Dynamics is doing and what Google is doing, and then you'll see like where this thing has been going. And people were talking about, there will come a time where the transition from the current way we operate and work as a society is going to be so rapid and so fast that it will displace a lot of employment. And so, in order to subsidize and ease the strain of the corporations pushing this new revolution, that there would be a universal basic income where basically everyone is just paid to live because the production is so high and the return on the energy is so high from just automation, robots, AI, streamlining everything, making everything more simpler and easy to access, that this production rate would be so high that it would be easy for the nation to pay people just to live. And people would find other things to do with their time. And this the Matrix scenario, if you ever watched the Matrix series and understand how the Matrix actually grew to where it was, they also had an addendum to the Matrix called the Animatrix, which is really, really good as well. But it talks about all these scenarios that are possible, and we're actually going through some of them now. And so Andrew Yang actually came out and he was like, yo, this fourth industrial revolution is going to be pretty hectic. We need to find a way to make sure that families are stable and secure throughout the duration of this transition. And he said that we should go ahead and start implementing UBI now. And everybody's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Where's the money gonna come from? Blah, 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 this and that. And as you see, like, he couldn't maintain his campaign tour, so he dropped out. And now all of a sudden this shit is going on. And then what happens? The government gives people money. They give people a universal basic income, a UBI, to subsidize you during this harsh time and transition. Same thing Andrew Yang suggested. But when he suggested it, people said that's fucking impossible and it'll never work. Shit gets really bad, then you find out, oh, it's really possible, and everybody wants this thing to work. So I don't get it sometimes, but yo, man, I don't know why this comments are froze like that. It's what you do with your time that makes the difference. Exactly. That's why I'm sitting here trying to create beautiful educational art and have intelligent conversations with other intelligent, receptive people who are critical thinkers and choose to see all points of view before they make a consideration or determination of what they actually have been persuaded as a set of facts. Yeah, but now everybody's all for universal basic income. And it's like, wait a minute. Isn't that what Andrew Yang was? The dude just, wait, did you not? Never mind. Never mind. I'm good. Never mind. People only hear shit when they want to hear shit. Then everybody hate their fucking job. Hate this place. Can't wait to get off work. Now, everybody ready to go back to fucking work. It's so funny. Yo, that shit is funny. Teachers be begging for more money. The education system is lacking. You're cutting funding for important programs. We don't have the resources required. And everybody's like, man, fuck them teachers. And now you gotta homeschool your kids? Oh, that shit ain't so easy, huh? And you ain't got but 2 kids at home. The teacher got 60 kids every day. Every every day. You got 2, 3 kids at home. You about to pull your damn hair out. Cause you don't know algebra. Cause you ain't got the periodic table of elements memorized. Now you going crazy, telling them just Google that shit. Now nobody getting no education. It's crazy, man. Shit's crazy, bro. Hody, hody, ho. The world we live in. I'd rather get my news from Fox instead of some journalist giving me his opinion on what might be. I'd get my Fox News. Listen to some Sean Hannity. Get my daily dose of Dennis Prager. I only know about those guys because I listen to them too. You gotta listen to everybody, bro. Motherfuckers swear down their source of information is the best source of information. You know why it's the best source? Because it's the source that I choose to listen to and I know better. My source of information is better than your opinionated source of information. So. I listen to the same shit you listen to, bro. But you don't listen to all the shit I listen to. What's my base rate? Ooh, $400. $400 for the 18 by 24. One person. Man, see, I'm about to make an investment with my stimulus. I'm about to go ahead and make this investment on this art piece real quick. I feel you, big homie. I'm about to make an investment with my shit too, dog. I'm about to buy me a shed for the backyard. Finally. Get my shed. Get my he shed. I don't need no she shed. Get me a he shed so I can hang my tools and lock my lawnmower up. Cause right now I got my lawnmower stored in the basement for the wintertime. I'm about to pull it out tomorrow though, cause my grass, that shit ready now, bro. Living so far up north, it take a long time for us to get ready for springtime and shit, but well, not tomorrow, but later today in a few hours, I guess. I'll be out there cutting some grass. I definitely need to get a barn or a shed to keep my motherfucking lawnmower in, my rakes and my hoes. Not my whores, my hoes. And what else? I got a weed eater. Keep all that shit so I don't have to keep carrying that shit from the basement every time I need to get it. Oh man, why it take so long to paint fingers, bro? You know that's why a lot of artists don't like painting hands. Motherfucking hands is not it's not something just like easy shit to put together, bro.
He put it, spoke more to me than the way anyone else ever framed it, and I actually felt like he shouldn't have called it universal basic income. When he
didn't he call it the freedom dividend?
Right.
Yeah.
But it became UBI to so many people. That's how
Right.
they went with it.
Yeah.
When you see, Amazon, Google, and these big companies becoming just insane behemoths that can't, they can't be broken up. They just absorb and absorb and absorb. Then there's an argument for some kind of dividend to the American people for potentially what they do outside of the United States. It's very complicated economics. I guess I'm not smart enough to, pretend like I know anything about. But you look at, he brought the example of Alaska. They have the oil drilling. The people who live in Alaska get a portion of that revenue and those profits. That makes sense. UBI, the way it's framed in general, makes very little sense. And eventually, I think we're actually seeing now with the government stimulus, one of the biggest pitfalls to it. Did you hear there was a story they ran on NBC? A woman, her employees were like in revolt because she acquired a loan from the Paycheck Protection Program that insured their jobs, meaning they would receive less money. Because under the CARES Act, they would have received a bonus of $600 per week on top of the salary they'd normally get. They actually preferred to have lost their jobs. So you have people who are complaining that they're keeping their jobs now. So
that's one instance, though.
There's a couple stories like that, but the challenge with just giving people cash is the assumption that the cash has inherent value, when the value of it is based upon what you can get for it. So one of the lessons I think we learn now with the economy being shut down is doctors and nurses got to work. We need them on the front line. They're also getting paid. What do they use that money for? Pay their rent, buy food, things like that. We're facing food shortages. If you can't buy anything with the money, what's the point of taking the money? I mean, like, if you were given the choice, you're going to work, you're going to go work your job at a grocery store, you're an essential worker, we're going to pay you $400. Your buddy, who isn't?
Let me stop you right there. Because the universal basic income was not designed to deal with the pandemic. It was designed to deal with automation, which would have not stopped the supply chain, which wouldn't have created food shortages. This is a sort of a unique situation. So you're comparing apples to oranges. You're applying universal basic income to our current situation, which has nothing to do with the reason why he wanted to implement it in the first place. He's worried that automation is going to take away jobs.
He's right. It will.
It probably will.
Now consider this problem, though. There will always be some kind of essential work, right?
Yes.
What do you tell the essential worker when other people are getting money and don't work, that you have no choice because you're essential? Even in an automation system. So let's say every job, but
hold on a second. They're only getting a small amount of money to stay alive. You would rather have a good job where you're getting paid well and have benefits and all that other stuff.
I think that's an assumption.
I see it is an assumption, but the problem with universal basic income, the real problem is a psychology issue. The real problem is the way human beings work. We need incentives. People don't just want to survive and get a little check from the government. People will be despondent. You don't want to create a United States of welfare, like an all-encompassing thing where these programs that are in place that automate all of the goods and services, they take some of that money and give it back to the people because no one can work. Like that's a depressing, dystopian future. I mean, that's a terrible place to live.
You ever watch Battlestar Galactica?
Yes, loved it.
You ever see Snowpiercer?
Was that you're talking about the new Battlestar Galactica? Or
yeah,
the new one. What was Snowpiercer? Which one was that?
That's where Chris Evans is on a train that travels around the world because the world is frozen, and only that train has, it's kind of a weird premise, but there's
This is an episode of Battlestar?
No.
Battery low. Please charge now.
Fuck you.
To, make a point.
Oh yeah, it's a futuristic movie.
Yeah, somebody told me to watch Snowpiercer back in the day, and I never did. Like when it first came out, there's Trap, you gotta watch this movie, yo.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of weird. So they take kids from the back, from the pour cart, and have them work internally in the engine because they have to move things around because parts are missing. If they don't, all human life dies. So they literally go in the back and they take children away from their families who scream and reject this. In Battlestar, they had children who were also taken for a similar reason to work. You had people who had no choice but to work on the fuel processing ship. Otherwise, all of humanity would be wiped out. I've often thought about, I'm a huge fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation. How do we get to a post-capitalism world where we still have incentives, but we're post-scarcity? The problem is, as we're in transition, there will be jobs that are essential, which means one of the glimpses we get, I understand the pandemic is different, but we still see a glimpse of people who have to work, kind of low-skilled, boring, tedious jobs, like in a grocery store, while other people who have higher-skilled jobs are getting their needs met by the government, at least in terms of the cash. So we're here telling, these people...
You're talking about right now?
Right. So, again, I understand it's a pandemic, it's very specific, but we're getting a glimpse of what happens when some people are told, your job is not essential, so we're going to guarantee your food and resources for the time being.
Why this charger won't work for the
doing
speaker?
that, though.
Son of a
It's not like
bitch.
this is effective.
I'm just saying that as we move towards automation, there will still be jobs that are essential. What do we do? How do we, incentivize and compensate, make that worth the people who have no choice but to keep working while the rest of us don't?
I don't know if it's a keep working while the rest of us don't issue. I think it's a problem of jobs being phased out. I think the real problem is automation is going to phase out jobs. It's not going to be about what's essential and what's not essential. I think you're sort of applying pandemic vernacular to...
Well, let's remove the pandemic from it, and let's say, right now, one of the things I looked at, and we talked about this a little bit before, I met a homeless guy in Chicago, and he worked at a job that became obsolete. I'll step back a little bit.
Yeah.
I asked the homeless guy how he became homeless when I was like 19, and he told me that he had a job. He worked there for 20, 30 years. As he got older, his family, moved away, lost contact. These were different times. Some friends and family had died. When his company became obsolete, technology didn't matter anymore. He was cast out. He had nowhere to work anymore, and his expertise was very specific. So he got a severance package. That ran out. He got unemployment. That ran out. He got kicked out. Now he's homeless. I look at that and I say, how do we make sure that doesn't happen? This guy should not be punished simply because times have changed. But if you scale that up, and say it keeps happening in every different sector, eventually you'll end up with 90% of the population
When you become a famous
and 10% saying,
painter like me,
whatever the industry may be.
and then you can tell somebody else what they should do with their fucking painting, dude. This shit right here annoys me so much. Do I have to show you my fucking reference photo? This is not a finger, homie. This is the bottom of the palm of her hand. You can see the bottom of the palm of her hand. She has 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Her thumb is on the other side of the fucking book, and that is the bottom of the palm of her hand. It's not a finger.
And then everything else you got to do on your own. If we're looking at, when we look at struggle, right? We look at struggle like across the board. Can't feed yourself. Can't put a roof over your head. What if this is what was attractive about universal basic income to me. What if we all agreed that
You don't have to feel silly or stupid or anything like that. Just know that you're speaking way too fast when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I hate that when people say shit about my art like that. I'm just saying. No, you're just saying the wrong fucking thing too. just calm the fuck down and let me do this, bro. That's why I'm streaming a painting and you're not.
Competition is important. And when you look at people that are anti-capitalist, they're really into socialism, one of the things you find is a lot of rich kids.
It's weird, right?
It's fucking real weird. It's because they don't understand real struggle. Because they've grown up without it and they have these ideals, like they feel guilty because they've grown up without struggle and they want to help the world and they think capitalism is evil and I never saw my dad. So we need to get all these rich people, need to give that money to all these poor people, and we need to balance out income.
You know what else they notice? The people around them were all white.
The people that are into socialism?
The people that are into socialism tend to be upper middle class,
obviously
white.
Generalizing in a big way here.
Right.
A lot of
but
them.
there's some studies, some research that came out that finds the overwhelming majority of socialists in the United States.
Yeah.
They came from upper middle class to upper class families that tended to be white.
Yeah, and those are the ones that focus so hard on these social justice warrior issues.
You take a person who's been surrounded by rich white people.
Yes.
It probably got a reason to not like them, but then they assume all white people are the same, and you end up seeing this
Yes.
racialization of politics.
Also, they find themselves in a position of affluence that they didn't earn. They want to burn it all to the ground.
Yep.
It's.
And they assume,
I don't think rich
there's
white kids
some
think that.
truth in that. That there's people who have money they didn't earn, and they're leeches on the system. They make money from money. They've never done anything in their lives.
Sure.
They're arrogant.
Sure, there's a lot of people like that.
Right, but when you then take that generalization and apply it to anyone who has money or everyone, and,
Right.
you take it to a dark place.
Exactly.
When I first started, entering the public space in terms of news and politics, I was at Occupy Wall Street, and before I had any notoriety, I was being heralded. They called me a good example of what's wrong with the system. Here's Tim Pool, a high school dropout, mixed race guy, and here he is just sleeping in a dirt park using his phone to tell the real stories of the world. After I got featured in Time Magazine, what did they say? Tim Pool is white, a silver spoon, which is not true. It's absolutely not true. But the socialist types, the activists, couldn't accept that I had, jumped the class system, I guess. Their view of the world is rigid, that the rich people keep the poor down, there's no chance for upward mobility, and that's not the case. You absolutely can become successful from, humble means.
One of my favorite AOC quotes was her talking about it's literally impossible to pull yourself up by your bootstraps when she used to be a waitress and now she's a congresswoman. Like you can't, it's not impossible, but it's not even. That's what we need to address. It's not even. The reality is some people have a far easier path.
Absolutely.
And some people have a far more difficult path. It's just, but you have to deal with the hand you're given. If life is a game, and while I'm not saying it's a game, it is life, but it's similar to a game in that you're dealt a set of cards. You're dealt a set of circumstances. And yes, some people just get 4 aces from birth. Your dad's a multi-billionaire, and your whole family's always
And that's
been rich.
just how it is,
You
yeah.
never have to worry about a goddamn thing for the rest of your life. But guess what? Those people turn out to be fucking miserable and crazy. There's some benefit in being born with a shitty hand of cards.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There really is a motivational benefit for sure.
Gumption.
Yes.
There's a TED talk. There's one personality trait that guarantees success. Of all, it's not intelligence, it's not class, not race, not gender. You know what it is?
What?
Perseverance. That's it.
I believe that.
There's a TED talk on it. It's interesting, and it's true. Now I think there's always going to be certain limits based on your ability. Like I'm never going to play in the NBA. I'm
Right.
not tall enough.
Right.
Nowhere near as fast or can jump high enough. Actually, that's not true. I can jump pretty high skateboard, but you take people who don't have top tier intelligence, not the strongest. But if they work hard enough, they can find their apex. They can find that point where they are successful and they can make it.
Right.
It's not true for everybody. Some people are below that threshold. No matter how hard they try, they're going to need help.
Well, I think that the problem is with any sort of generalization. Perseverance is the most important thing. Yes, sure. But you also have to be intelligent. You can't be doing the same thing over and over again. No, I'm not going to quit. Because, no, you have to be able to figure out what you're doing wrong as well as have perseverance. Perseverance is a necessary part of the equation, but there's many pieces to that equation.
But define success in that regard, right? If success is...
Well, it depends on the field that you're choosing.
Right. If you're not smart enough to be an astrophysicist, you shouldn't be an astrophysicist.
Right.
If you're not tall enough to play in the NBA, you probably can't play in the NBA.
Do you think
That's
you
not
can-
necessarily true, though. Muggsy Bogues, that dude was amazing. Yeah.
He's 5'7".
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did 360 dunk.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
5'5"?
3.
Oh, it's Bud Webb, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
you can do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's very rare. I mean,
Right.
We've talked about 2 guys, right? 2
Exactly,
guys
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
I think the average person has the potential and the capabilities of being successful, wealthy, if they want, famous. I think one of the challenges we have in our culture is how we're raising kids and what the values we're giving them.
Do I want to be famous? Not
What are
really.
you trying to do?
Like, fame is a goddamn consequence of being good at what you just want to be good
You
at.
don't have like some people can't
If
sing,
enough people recognize how good you are at it, then you just kind of like
but guess who else's voice
become
is so
famous by
Bob Dylan.
happenstance.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
But a lot of people still find ways to avoid the fame by like
there's something to it,
Right.
but he found out a way to make it work.
like Daft Punk, just wearing fucking masks all the time, or the Gorillas, mostly using like animated
Okay.
characters to represent themselves.
Sing me a
instead of actually showing people themselves.
Probably. Well, there are a lot of people, especially in the internet day and age, that you would not expect to have made it. Who made it?
Yes.
That's
there's a lot. Yeah. I mean, and then there's rules today that I don't think really hold true. People say, oh, you have to be good looking, you have to be thin. Well, Adele's not thin. She is now. She's thin now. People are mad at her for being thin.
Yeah.
She just was talented. She just had a powerful voice. Or that woman, Susan, whatever was her name, who was on America's Got Talent.
I don't know.
No, it wasn't America's Got Talent. X Factor, right.
Susan Boyle.
Look at you fucking wizard over here. Susan Boyle. She looked like someone's Grammy, right? But she belted out this song that made Simon Cowell almost cry.
Wow.
Because she was just fucking talented. Just
Yep.
really good. You can find a thing. But if you're Susan Boyle and you want to be a comedian, maybe her jokes are fucking terrible. Maybe she would show up at open mic night at Sunday night at the Comedy Store over and over again and keep bombing. And then, she never would have made it.
Yeah, can't learn.
Some people
That's
just...
it.
Yeah.
I think if you can learn.
Right.
If you can, one of the problems though is people refuse to accept when they're wrong. They
Right.
be self-critical.
They're not. They don't have an analytical perspective in terms of their own issues. They can't analyze themselves and see the flaws and be objective and
fuck
introspective.
that.
Some people just don't.
I
have
can.
that
I used to
because
try to
they
write
protect
music
themselves.
and rap.
They have
Like,
certain personality traits that protect
it
themselves.
only took me a few years to figure out this might
Understand
not
where
be
they're
for
flawed.
me.
When I was a teenager, I remember reading.
I might
would watch tapes of himself.
need to give up this
That's true. But to me, that was like
this music
if you wanna be
idea
best,
and just
yes,
do what I'm
you
good
need to
at.
actively look for what you're screwing up.
And what I'm good at
Immediately.
Well, that's
is
the pyramid for
painting.
sparring.
Yeah.
When you're sparring, like we used to film.
I can do that.
Back when I was, we'd film sparring sessions and fights, particular fights, but sparring sessions, it was critical because you could see how you were telegraphing something and then you got countered. You could see how, and sometimes you don't think you're doing it. Then you realize, like, oh my god, I'm dropping my hand every time I do this, and then you get caught.
Crazy.
Yeah,
like-
that's with everything, though.
It's like poker.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving your
Mhm.
tells away,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nuts.
But I think most things you'd be better off seeing. Like with comedy, it's massive, it's gigantic. Being able to visually see yourself is like primary. That's number one. A little bit less good is listening to yourself. And at a certain point in time in your career, you can get away with just listening in terms of like. But there's a big difference between people who monitor their stuff and go over it and analyze it versus people who don't. And it's just. It's accelerated learning. It's like taking advantage of all the tools that you're given. And you can apply that to anything that you're trying to do good in life if you have the time and the energy. Like if you're doing a job and during this job, you just show up at work and you try to do your best, then you go home, you fuck off and you do your stuff. You'll get better at whatever you do.
Exactly.
But if you go and do your job and then afterwards analyze what you did, pay attention to it, write things down, make a diary perhaps, or review your work, and really, you'll get better faster. It's a matter of how much time, as long as you don't burn out.
I don't take days off, ever.
Yeah, that's weird.
I took a day off yesterday. Had some bad sushi. Here's a lesson, everybody. If I don't want to be mean to the sushi people, they're really nice to me, but maybe lay off sushi if they've been closed for a month because of a pandemic. And
Well, you're driving from the other side of the country. Text me, dude. I'll tell you the places. There's only I go to like 4 places out here for sushi, and everywhere else I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Well, so here's what I want to say, right? I don't take a day off, and a lot of people say I'm crazy, and I've actually my Monday through Friday is now double shifts every day. Then Saturday and Sunday are single shifts in terms of production. So I do Monday through Friday 3 hours and 40 minutes. About Saturday and Sunday is about an hour and 40 minutes. And what would I do if I wasn't working? I'd be playing video games.
But listen to the numbers you just said.
Yeah, 3 hours and 40 Monday through Friday.
Yeah, and then an hour and a half per weekend day.
Yeah.
That's still not a full day's work. That's still not a full week's work to
so
the average person.
An hour and a half of recording is like 10 hours of research.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
so you're working more than
so
that.
it's like 8 hours. So I'm doing constant research in between fact checking, and then I record. Like once I get everything in line and I think I'm confident on what I have, and of course I'm not perfect. Then I record for about 20 minutes. Then I get back to researching, reading, and so it's.
But here's another benefit though. You work for yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't have some dickhead over your shoulder telling you what to do.
I chose this though.
Yeah.
right? So there's a couple things. When you brought up you get good at whatever whatever it is you do, I tell my friends every second you spend doing something is an investment into being better at that. So if you want to come home from work and play video games all day, you'll be really good at video games, man. Maybe start a stream, a Twitch channel. Maybe you can make some money being a good personality, but you got to earn it. Or maybe there's something you want to do that instead of playing video games, you do that instead. For me, when I'm not working, I'm just sitting around like, why am I not working? What am I doing? I ended up taking yesterday off. I didn't work today because we're doing the show, and so I'm sitting around watching TV shows like this is awful. I can't stand it. I gotta read the news, man. I gotta be into it.
Well, you're driven. But also you're enjoying it. That's the difference between someone who's working in a fucking coal mine or someone who's working in a field all day picking strawberries.
Yeah,
but they hate the job.
I hear you, but you know how many people have hit me up? You probably get something similar, like, how do I do what you do? When I was working for Vice and I was traveling around the world, 10, 20 emails every week from young people saying, I really want to do what you do. And you know what they would say to me when I would tell them how to do it? They would say, I will never do that. I would tell them, here's what you do. Do you have any money saved up? No? Okay. Where do you work? You don't work. Get a job, Starbucks, McDonald's, whatever you can get. Maybe you can do better than that. Save your money. Once you've saved enough, find a store you want, fly there, cover it. You know what they would say? No. There's one person who said to me, I want to travel around the world and do what you do. How do I do it? I say, do you have money saved up? Yes. Excellent. There's a story right now going on in Turkey. All right? You got to be secure, you got to be safe, but Istanbul's fairly okay. Fly there right now, film it, and I'll see if I can make any connections on what you find. You know what they said? Well, the money I saved is for my apartment in Brooklyn. And I'm like, right, what's more important to you, having your nice Williamsburg apartment or being a journalist traveling around the world? Well, I like my apartment. I'm like, okay, listen. When I worked for Vice, I was sleeping on a couch. Every dime they paid me, I put in the bank, I didn't touch it. I got a job working for an ABC News joint venture company after that. They paid me a bunch of money, I put 70% in the bank, I didn't touch it. When I left, I went to a bunch of these New York digital companies. I'll spare them their names for any embarrassment, many of them who have become rather worthless. They still exist, and they're big. And I decided, after seeing what they had to offer, the bias, the deception, the clickbait-driven nature of it, I'm going to do it myself. And because I saved my money every step of the way, I was able to do so. So then I had an apartment. Then I could pay for my plane ticket, to Sweden, to France, to Germany, to do these stories, and started building up a base. Within about 7 or 8 months, I had gone from red to black. So now all of a sudden, I was no longer losing money. I was making money. And I'm like, there it is. A couple of years on, ridiculously successful. For myself, I guess I could, it's relative, but I've got several employees launching new companies. Well, one of the companies shattered a fundraising record of $1 million in a single day. So that's look, the path for me isn't the path for everybody, but sacrifice,
Well, you're basically saying exactly what they're saying in the TED Talk, perseverance. And you embrace the grind.
But it's also, what do you really prioritize?
Yeah.
For me,
what are you trying to do?
I don't care about having an apartment. I want to see what was going on the ground in Istanbul. So you know what?
It's also like who is the type of person that would chase down the stories? The type of person that's really going to chase down the stories is a person that's driven to chase down stories. What you're getting is questions from idiots. You're getting questions from people that are like, how do I do it?
Exactly.
And then when you offer the answer, well, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But those are the people that are never going to make it. Like, there's a conversation I had with Ari Shafir where he and Robert Kelly, apparently they thought about sponsoring a comic who's up and coming, taking care of their financial needs, and for like a year, and trying to see how far they could get in their career if they didn't have to deal with money. And I said, that's the problem is the type of person who's going to make it is going to make it not just in spite of the fact that they don't have any money, but because of the fact they don't have any money. Yep. Those day jobs, those sucky jobs that you need to have when you're struggling, they fucking motivate you. They're important. If somebody just comes along and gives you all the money you need for food, you're going to half-ass it, and some hungry guy on the other side of town is going to take all the gigs that you would get. They're going to write better jokes. They're going to be more motivated to go to open mics. They're going to pound the pavement harder.
Well, I got a story for you. I'll try and get the details right. It's my buddy's company, so forgive me if I'm getting the details wrong. But he had a social media management company. He started it himself. He knew everything about social media, Instagram, and all that. And he started building up a client base where I'm going to run your social media for you. worked like a charm. Started making a ton of money, getting new contracts. These companies know what they were doing. He got to a point where he had to hire people. He ended up hiring a couple college grads, and he put up the ad saying, you know, college degree required. They couldn't figure anything out. They kept calling him, having problems, couldn't manage anything, so he fires them. Rehires again, more college grads, same problem. Eventually has to fire them. Then he hires, because he's running out of money, he hires two high school, I think they were high school dropouts. And he was like, they wanted substantially less money, and at this point, I just couldn't find good people. They worked swimmingly. It was amazing. No phone calls, no problems. These were people who had worked hard, saved up money in their small bumpkin hometown, moved to Los Angeles to make it big. They knew what they wanted, they knew what they had to do, and they said, I will find a way to do it. He said the other people that were hiring were just like drones. They just wanted a job. They didn't know or care what they were doing, they didn't bother, so they didn't want to learn. But these people who were driven viewed this as just another problem to be solved on my path to success.
Yeah, that's the mindset, and that's the difference. The mindset of success is the mindset of I will figure it out.
So I think the problem is how we're raising people in this country. We're raising them to, in certain areas, to expect things to be given to you. You get a participation trophy no matter what you do. Congratulations.
Well, this is the problem with socialism, and this is the problem with universal basic income, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expecting something from the government, particularly without any financial feasibility. There's no real logic to where that money comes from. Like, show me
what
your
the
work.
money is.
Right. What is money?
You know,
right.
So one of the arguments I keep seeing from a lot of people who have more, I don't even want to call them socialists, I think they're just regular urban dwelling, like liberal left type people.
Mm-hmm.
There's one viral post on Reddit that said, you've got these conservatives, or you've got these people out protesting so they can enrich their landlords and these billionaires, when they should be demanding that rent be waived, that mortgages, you know, and evictions be canceled, and that the government take care of their needs and provide them with stimulus or something like that. And I look at that like, you're very clearly living in a city, but what they don't understand is they say things like, you know, landlord isn't a job. Like, I'll argue that there's a lot of very successful landlords who make a ton of money and do very little, but...
No, it's a fucking job.
Right.
It's so stupid to say it's not a job.
It's not just that. It's the money you pay in rent can't just be wiped out, because there's groundskeepers, there's maintenance, there's administrative assistants, there's taxes that have to be filed. Rent doesn't just go into their pocket so they can buy a boat. But they view it this way, and they think that money is what you want. That when they say these people who want the government to be reopened, you know, are simply trying to enrich the wealthy, it's like, I think maybe they make things and they want to keep making things. They want
You mean the economy, not the government.
The economy, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I keep mixing that up. But there are a lot of people that don't seem to understand. I think it's because when you live in a city, everything's already there for you. When I lived in New York, the Williamsburg Bridge, boom, there it is. I didn't pay a dime for it, but I can just use it. I can cross over. It's just there. And I've never had to, you never have to fight for it, so you just say, why can't I just have it? You walk in any store and there's food. Hey, there's food. Easy. What they don't see is the supply chain, where the food is made. So they assume that money guarantees access to it, which it doesn't. If the economy is shut down, the money can't buy you things. The value of that money starts going down.